we are on the site of the castle.
And it was the first time the Beatles had really stopped being semi-professional almost.
Look at that. Absolutely fascinating. That's what you do. You buy these clothes that cost money and make a difference in it. But we never do that.
Never complains, gets up, gets on with a smile on his face.
You just want you to sit in the chair and go, hip hip hooray, for the Western press and the Western narrative. He dare dictate you the same old, every single day, without this. If you haven't seen it before, please watch the first series, the first 2 episodes, the second series. Stallone.
Hi everyone, it's the conspiracy theory tonight. All the conspiracy theories. Got a few lines up for you, and it's going to be good. Really is. It's going to be, I hope it's going to be good anyway. But don't forget, on Friday, I've got the current issues, current affairs programme, which is, it's hard hitting. It really is. And I'd love you to join me on that. If it's a bad night out, if it's raining, you don't want to go into town, especially with all those hen and, parties going on. These other fellas getting married, they always come to Liverpool and spoil the night. I'm not saying that really, but DJ bumping into them. Little girls with wings on. They're about 43 as well, getting married with wings on, dressed up as fairies. But anyway, good luck to them. This is true. I was out one night in town, and going back a few years ago, and this girl was chatting me up, and they were on a hen night, and she was chatting me up, and a mate came over. She said, "You're getting married on Saturday." To the girl who's chatting me up. What more do you want? Oh, blimey. KP, I'm looking forward to this. Thank you, KP. Our lovely Myra, I think she's gone because she was here at 6:30, actually. Hi, everyone. I'm Frank. And she even said hello to KP. The Midnight Talker, the CIA realised it's a great way to feed the public misinformation or label the truth as false. Yes. Lots of people's lives have been turned upside down because they spoke about the experiences. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Only to be labelled as nuts. Or worse still. And half of them, well, I couldn't put a percentage on them, to be honest, Midnight. They ended up being, how can I put this, suffering from mental health because they've been labelled as such. Labelled as such. Jay says, "Hiya, Myra." Paul saying, "Good evening, Frank. Hope you're okay. Weather being shocking here today." Shocking, man. Tony. "Evening, Myra." Hiya, Tony, yourself. "Hello, Frankie." And look at them pants. Look at those pants. "Good evening, Frankie boy. I've been looking forward to this. I know with our professor, it's going to be a banger." Thank you, Reggie. I hope so. I hope so. Tony LSE, evening, Reggie, and they're all saying hello to one another, which is lovely. I'm going to bring on my guest, my little conspiracy theorist associate. And there he is, the great international artist, Anthony Brown. There he is. Hey, Anthony.
Good evening, Frank. Hiya, mate.
Oh, do you know what? This weather is absolutely dreadful, isn't it?
You know what? The lights in the house have been on since 9:30 this morning.
Yeah.
So you think?
I couldn't believe it, you know. Gets up and I had to put the light on to make myself a bloody cup of tea.
Yeah.
The lights on.
Yeah.
It's just.
Good evening, all.
Hey, Anthony. Great seeing you, pal. Says Reggie.
Oh, thank you.
Evening, Anthony. And there's 3 scotches of Tony LFC.
Oh, for the touch of that beautiful medicine that you gave me the other day, Frank.
Yeah. Oh.
I haven't opened it yet. I'm opening it tonight.
Oh, are you now? Or is that a conspiracy theory?
I think I'm going to need it after this. Yeah.
Do you know what? Listen, people, if you haven't subscribed, or you know, most probably you have, but sometimes they take them off. So subscribe again, and press the likes for us. And Jay says, "Here we go," and there's the scotch and the pints. Pints for me and scotch for you, there, mate. So let's go, eh? Let's have a go at this. And what it is, I'm going to start with the very first conspiracy. Now, you see, look, it's amazing what people think, what people say. I'll have to move my phone out the way. I don't know where to bloody put it, to be honest. I don't know where to put it. Now, the point is, you know, what you've got to think of is this. And it's a simple thing. It's a simple quote. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist, right? You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist. Just someone who doesn't take news that is fed by the authorities seriously. So if you're not saying, it's just one of these. It was a cracking little thing. Where is it? I think it was off Midnight Toker. Just let me get back to that. Just let me get back. Yeah. The Midnight says the CIA realised it's a great way to feed the public misinformation or label the truth as false. Lots of people's lives are being turned upside down because they spoke about experiences. Absolutely. And what I do, you know, it's just like what I've just read out there, or just what I said about, you know, you take no notice. And if you take no notice and you have your own, you know, theory about it, it's like today, right now. I'm not going into this, by the way, but right now, the press are coming out and saying, especially Mr. Zelensky, he's saying that there's like thousands upon thousands of troops in Ukraine, North Korean troops, by the way. Now, I can tell you that there's no evidence, no nothing, no photos, no nothing that they're there. Or, you know, the Western press would have been all over it. Look at all these, you know, here in Ukraine. Because there's satellites, there's everything, there's nothing at all to say. So that's misinformation. That's to draw in people. That's to draw in escalation. You see what I mean? So that's what I think the Midnight Toker's on about there. You know, something, all misinformation. Okay? Now, one of the first things I want to talk about, I'll show you in a moment and see what you think. See what you think. But anyway, Gary Rigby says, hello everyone. Hiya, Gary.
Hiya, Gary.
And the Red Juice says, make sure you hit the like, peeps. And if you haven't already subscribed, why not? Which is in capital letters. Thank you. All Frank's shows are brilliant. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate, you know, honestly, I really appreciate that, lads. Paul Turner, good evening, Anthony.
Good evening, Paul. Thank you.
And Gary says, do you think they are keeping aliens quiet? The government know they exist. I'll be talking about that. Can you leave it? I've got my thing first lined up to talk about. And see what you think, by the way. See what you think. And the Red Juice says, conspiracy and facts are truth. Well, most of them. But the sheeple, like the sheep, do follow each other. No truth needed. That's a cracking. Yeah. Already we have great, already we have smashing comments right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start off with this. And this is dear to my heart, actually. It really is dear to my heart. And it's this, boys and girls. Well, lads, it's this. I want to show you this. Oh, you all know who that is, don't you, by the dress?
Yeah.
Right? Right. And it's Elizabeth I. Now, you've got to go back to the 1500s. You have to go back then. And then the Reformation was at its height. Was at its height. And the people who were fortunate, oh, there's Myra. Are you Myra? Oh, there she is. Oh, lovely Myra, all the way from South Africa. Yeah. And what you've got, people, is this. You've got people who confiscated. Now, these are the cronies of Henry VIII. They confiscated all Catholic land. And it was shocking. It was shocking what they were doing. They burdened them with heavy taxes as well. You know, Catholics who own this land, the churches, the church land that had people working on them as well, because it was more or less farmland for the churches. They were confiscated. The Catholics thrown out, the priests. So everything was going on at the time. So you had a fellow by the name of Walsingham, the master spy for Henry, the master spy for Henry. And he was acquiring lots, really lots of land. And so was a fellow by the name of Lord Burleigh. He was acquiring lots of land too, Catholic land. So by the time Henry had died, by the time he had died in 1554, I don't know whether people know this. I don't think, whether they do or not, I don't know. But Henry died, albeit that he became the leader of the Church of England rather than the Church of Rome, because he divorced himself from Rome So he died, and when he died, he knew he was dying, obviously. And he reverted back to Catholicism. He died a Catholic. He died a Catholic. But his cronies behind him, whoa, they didn't want him. Young Edward took over, but he was a sick boy, and he died. Then Mary, Queen of Scots, not Mary, Queen of Scots, Mary took over his daughter, and she was known as Bloody Mary. How did she get that name? She got that name because her advisors were going up and saying, look, these are plotting against you. So they were given a death warrant to sign. Hence, Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
You see? So anyway, when she died, because she was a sick woman, and when she died, you'd have Mary, Queen of Scots, the rightful owner to the throne. Okay? The rightful owner to the throne. But Elizabeth had her executed. Right? It was imperative that the lineage from the royal family to keep on Protestantism going. See, Mary, Queen of Scots, was a Catholic, you see. They said, oh, we can't have her as a queen, you know, bringing Catholicism back and Rome. So they didn't want it. They didn't want it. So anyway, she was done away with. She was done away with. And loads of conspiracies about it as well. Letters supposedly from other people. And it was shocking, actually. Anyway, she was put to the chopping block. So what did it was imperative that Elizabeth should marry. Imperative to keep the lineage going. The Protestant lineage, that is. Or the protesters' lineage. That's how it was known, the protesters. Then it just became, you know, with time going on, protesters to Protestantism. Still the same, protest against Rome. So that's what was happening. So why didn't she marry? Why didn't Elizabeth marry when she had to, when it was imperative that she'd marry? And here's why. She was a boy. Mary, how can I say this? This sounds mad like, but it's true. And this is why Elizabeth here, as it says, was our greatest queen, really a man. So Elizabeth, after Mary, Queen of Scots, had gone, she would get married. And the Earl of Essex tried to pursue her, you know. Yeah, do you fancy getting married? She was like, piss off, I'm not getting married to you. Everything looks at Elizabeth. Even ambassadors from different parts of Europe were saying there's something wrong there. There is something wrong. Even Blackadder, going back, you know, when Blackadder series was going on,
Yeah.
they poked fun. They poked fun at it in a couple of episodes. When Blackadder went to see her like that, she's speaking like a man. She's got a man's voice. Right? This is what they said in the series. She's got a man's voice. And you know, another one like that, like, this fella played Baldrick in Blackadder, and he was in it, Tony Robinson, and he's only small. He went, have you seen the size of it? The first time he'd seen it. Now, Elizabeth was 6'1". She was a giant of a woman. Because women were small. Like today, women are smaller than the male. Women are smaller than the male. Now let's get to the the theory now. Let's get back to the theory. There was a Queen Dowager called Catherine Ashby, and she went to live with her and her husband, Thomas, in a royal lodge, because this is as a child, because Henry, he never thought that she would ever become queen anyway, and he was just looking at Edward, who would carry on the line, and also after him is Mary, right?
Yeah.
So we just thought that. Anyway, as I said, he died. But young Elizabeth, went to live with Dowager, the Queen Dowager, Catherine Ashby. And it was there. Now, don't forget, at the time, Henry was off his head. He was having people executed left, right, and centre. He was totally off his head through, a diseased brain. He suffered from terrible syphilis and everything else, and it affected him.
Paranoia.
And it affected his judgment.
Yeah.
So, these people, Ashby, Queen Dowager Catherine Ashby, was terrified because young Elizabeth died. She died. So what did they do? And they seen a boy in Bisley. This is where the lodge was. They seen a boy, Royal Lodge, by the way, who was the same age and red hair. They went, we get him, because Henry used to look over from a distance and just wave to Elizabeth. He never went right up to her, face to face and said, "Oh, we're going." It was from a distance, and he used to just wave to her to make sure that she was okay. But they dressed this boy up. Now, don't forget, you're talking these Tudor clothing, which were very heavy, which were very bulky. And he just took it as that she was still alive. Now, by the time Elizabeth, Mary had succumbed as well. Edward and Mary, sorry, didn't get mixed up there, succumbed. They wanted her on the throne. They wanted her Walsingham, because if Mary, Queen of Scots, would have got on the throne, she would have reunited with Rome. They would have lost all their land. They would have just lost all their land for good. And they could have been on trial as well. They could have easily have been on trial for treachery against the Church of Rome. And the land's being reinstated to the Catholic owners. And that went right up to the gunpowder plot, by the way, all the land belonging to Catholics, and heavy sanctions on them. So now what you have Elizabeth on the throne. You just have her on the throne. And what was being... I'll give you the mannerisms of her. As I said, she was 6 foot 1 tall. She had large hands. She was very hirsute, and I mean very hirsute. She had male pattern baldness. That's why she always wore a wig. She shaved every day. She wore heavy makeup, like powder to hide the 7 o'clock shadow, as we call it. No maid had ever seen her naked. No maid. 3 maids seen her naked once while she was bathing. You know, I'm not saying all together. I'm saying one after the other in a period of time. And they were executed. They were executed. She stipulated she never ever seen a doctor. She never ever seen a doctor. Ever. Every artist, you know about artists, every artist had to make her look feminine. So whatever you're looking at, portraits of Elizabeth, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. You don't see the rightful features and everything else because every artist had to make her look feminine. They always made her wear a ruffle around here. She had no breasts at all. She had an Adam's apple. Even a Spanish ambassador said she spoke with a gruff voice, just like what he said in Blackadder. She speaks like a man. You see, big feet, big hands, and very hirsute. Very hirsute. And that was the characteristics of Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Because Walsingham had to have her keep going, have this lad keep going as Elizabeth. Or he was. Then the Cecils took over, father and son, and when the dad died, and coming up to her death in 1603, they were afraid. What will we do? You know, no autopsy. No for her. And they had, you know, like, they actually broke her legs to fit her in a small coffin. They couldn't have a big long coffin, a big huge one, so they broke her legs. Put it in the coffin. And it was put down the lid. It was put down the lid. In 1984, a group of historians went to 10 Downing Street and said, can we open the lid, you know, once and for all? To, you know, because this is like, the story hasn't gone away. It's never gone away about the Bisley boy. It's never, ever gone away. So they said, you know, once and for all, let's confirm to Thatcher. Yeah. Thatcher refused. She said no. And they said, well, so they went back. They went back a few years later, 87 or 88. And they said, look, we've got all this DNA now. You know, let's open it up. There must be something there where we can get the DNA. And she refused. She said, no, just leave it. Because it'll all be, you know, they mightn't be able to get anything off it, so leave it. So they waited, these historians, the deputation of historians, not just one or two, the deputation of them. And they said, okay, we'll wait until a change of government. Then Tony Blair got in. And in 1997, they went up to 10 Downing Street to Tony Blair and said, is there any chance that we can have a look in this coffin? And Blair just said, just leave it. Just leave it. Just let everyone rest in peace. So the point is it believed that Elizabeth was a man. The most important factor is that she should have married. She should have married. I tell you, he was questioning it all the time. And Robert Cecil, sent this fella over to Ireland to get him away in 1600. Get over there. Send him to Ireland. So he went to Ireland. And he questioned her. He said, why doesn't she marry? And, you know, he was questioning her characteristics as well. Until one of the plotters, the gunpowder plotters, said, there's proof that she's not Elizabeth, she's not a woman. She's a man. So after that, he went over, he said, oh, was she? Right, okay, it's a sham. Because he was 13th in line to the throne, the Earl of Essex. He was 13th in line to the throne. So he went over. But there was a spy within the camp. The spy were in the camp. And he told the government, he told Robert Cecil, he went like that, they're coming over here, they're going to take over the throne, they're going to expose Elizabeth. Then it's what you call a bloodless coup, and a failed bloodless coup. And Essex was thrown in jail. Essex was thrown in jail. And he remained there until his death in 1601. Put in the Tower. Then, you know, after that, the gunpowder plot. And it wasn't just about the emancipation of Catholicism. That came into the fore as well, about Elizabeth.
Yeah.
But that's for another time. That's for another time. So I'd really like the chat to see whether they believe that this conspiracy theory, it's not a conspiracy theory. As I said, you can dismantle everything. But the most imperative thing is, and what the excuse was, she married the country. She married the country. That was the spin. She didn't have to get married. She married the country. She had to get married to keep on that lineage, to keep on the Protestant line.
Yeah, keep a lid on it.
Oh, yeah. So therefore, everything was, it was shocking. It was shocking the way they just kept a lid on it, as you said. And they did. And what about the executions? Oh, 2 guards was executed too. 2 guards. Because they walked in, excuse me. They walked in. They actually walked in to I forget what you call them, but you know, it's one of the rooms where Elizabeth was always at. And they seen her, or you know, they seen her minus the wig,
yeah,
minus a shave, because someone said, I think the Queen is in distress, and they went in to see, you know, because they were guards. So they went in, and she was about to, I know this sounds terrible, she was about to get a shave, so the minus wig, male pattern baldness, 7 o'clock shadow, bare-chested. Both of them were executed. immediately. So you've got to take everything. So I'll just seeing if any of the chat says anything. What's an interesting chat? What an interesting chat. I thought Anthony's fingers were stuck to his chin then. That's mad. The Midnight says, our government treats us, the people, with contempt whenever it suits. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Gary,
I couldn't stand Thatcher. I don't think anyone could.
No.
IBR. Even in Franco, hope you're well. Yep. Thank you. Norman, I hated Thatcher. Hated it. And I don't use that word lightly.
No.
IBR, a male lizard. There you go. And that's where the lizard's terminology comes in. What an incident. Oh, yes. The Reggie says, Toker, we the people are useless eaters, according to Klaus from Klaus Schwab. The control of the media controls most of the people, even on this channel, if you dare to go against the flow.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Just go through these. When people say these things didn't happen years ago, they did, but it was hidden. Everything's hidden. Bless up, everyone, says Richard Hudson. Big up. Hi, everyone. How are you? How are you? And also, how's your family, friends, and loved ones? You'll never walk alone. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Her parents killed when she was 3. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Anne Boleyn was a mother. Do you know the interesting thing about Anne Boleyn, Anthony?
Yeah.
Besides being French, do you know what she had? She had 6 fingers.
Okay.
6 fingers she had.
Would have made a heck of a piano player. There's a current about Anne Boleyn which has never really gone away. The interest in us, the public, and even the BBC every so often will bring up a drama and this and that and the other. I couldn't help notice 5 minutes before the show started tonight that the BBC have done podcasts about this and that and the other, or to do with Anne Boleyn. Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah.
That's strange. That.
In history, that.
But she did have 6 fingers.
Yeah.
And someone, I forget who it was one of these lords, said that she was a witch. We'll have to try her for being a witch because she had 6 fingers. Mad, isn't it? Yeah. This is the way it was in those days.
Yeah.
And KP, oh, come on. Where's the KP go? Sorry there, KP. Hang on. The royals act like the Romans did years ago. Any port in a store. I don't know. The Romans, I lectured about the Romans, Roman Britain and the Empire. That's what I lectured about. They came over we were running around with woes on our backside, seeing what village we came from. We were all warring factions, and they came over just to trade. But you had the likes of other tribes who hated the Romans, and they wanted to go to war with them. And the Romans were absolutely magnificent in their engineering and building and warfare and everything else. And only for the Vikings, you've got the Baths down in Bath, and all magnificent temples and everything they did, but the Vikings ruined them, and so did the indigenous people as well, taking away the bricks and everything else. They did remarkable stuff, did the Romans, for us. I'm not going into that now. Frank, wasn't it quite common for all royal heads to have lots of secrets? I mean, look at Prince Andrew, even now still going on. I was talking to a very old professor, and I didn't even know that he was sitting there listening to what the lecture. See, what I've given you is in a little nutshell. I talk about people, my lecture, but he was there about the Bisley boy. And he came up and he congratulated me. And I said, oh, thanks, And he said, do you want another theory? Another hypothesis? I said, what's that? And he said, Edward VIII's wife, Mrs. Simpson, was a man. I said, get out of it. Was a man. And he was old, this fella. Then. The Anfield, it's horrible to say, but better people died in the Brighton bombing rather than Thatcher. I'm sad to say that, but my family went through hell with that witch. We went through hell. Liverpool went through hell.
Yeah.
We went through hell. A managed declined city in the 20th century by our own government. And that's no conspiracy theory. Football saved Liverpool. Football. Both Everton and Liverpool. From going right into the depths of apathy. The depths of apathy. As he says, we're the same, mate. It's shocking. It really is shocking. I'm not coming out with this. 6 fingers and goods with her hands. Can't she fell in for Alison? Come on. This is serious. The Anfield. 6 fingers, Christ, is a tree. She used to win prostrate exams for the Royal Court. They called her 6 fingers lip. KP. I wonder how many of the so-called royal family would pass a drug test. That's a good point, that, actually. See, you've got a lot of things, which is, they try to cover up everything. I'm not just talking about the royals, but I'm talking about governments. I'm talking about the likes of Walsingham, the spy master. Robert Cecil was a spy master as well.
He was a horror. Yeah.
He was, but so was Walsingham. Walsingham was as well. They were the most powerful men in the country at the time. The most powerful. And these are, given to Mary, Queen Mary, Bloody Mary. They said, yeah, look, sign that. Just see them over there. It's a coup. They want a coup. Sign the death warrants and let them, And so she was signing these bloody death warrants. Hence, Bloody Mary. She was done in as well, I'm telling you now.
It's interesting to say that a lot of things don't change. So even in today's society, there is a Cecil somewhere. Or have we just got rid of them? I don't know. There are those people who it's in their interests to maneuver their way to the top for wealth.
Oh,
or for wealth.
Of course, it's like the corporate stuff. People work the way up.
Yes.
I hate saying this because I'm really not sexist or anything, and I hate talking about it. But if you were a young actress going back, to the 30s and 40s and 50s, where did you work up? You worked up in producers' offices.
Yeah.
Young actresses.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you did.
Yeah.
And as Christopher says, what did the Romans do for us? Precisely. The life of Brian. Fantastic. Fantastic. And let's just go down, let's see. The Anfield. Hang on. Norman, sorry there, Norman. She wanted to wipe Liverpool off the face of the earth, and Bernard Ingram.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. There's a Cecil there.
So true, Frank. They bloody hated us, and I think London still does sometimes. I feel like the Scots. We could govern ourselves. Yeah. And the Irish. I've always said, I know James comes on here, and I always say he's all right. He's from, he lives in Gibraltar. Give Gibraltar back to the Spanish. I always say that. Why should we own Gibraltar? What's that all about?
No.
It's Spain.
Yeah.
It's Spain.
Yeah.
For God's sake. And I'm going to talk about her next. Marilyn Monroe was very honest about sleeping around. Yeah, she was. And Marilyn Monroe, the official verdict about her was that she died of an overdose. She died of an overdose.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone who has a brain cell believed that. I don't think anyone did. I really don't.
I can see it in the same vein as we lost Brian Epstein, which was someone who can't sleep, pops 6 tablets, can't sleep, forgets that they pop 6 and pops another 6. And the same vein, more than likely, Jimi Hendrix, it becomes accidental because you're in such a state of mind that you're not thinking normally,
Well, that's right. It's like KP says there, did she know too much? IBR, did Monroe sleep with the Kennedys? Norman replies by saying Monroe and JFK were linked.
Yeah.
Yes. The point is, I went on someone's pod last year or the year before, and they were talking about Monroe. You know, they said, I said, yeah, sure. I said she was used by everybody.
Yeah.
She was the most sought after lady in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Most sought after. So she was passed around, which was disgusting for a young woman to be passed around like a doll.
Yeah.
Passed around like a bottle of scotch, like a beer. She was a commodity for sexual gratification.
She kind of knew what she had, this power, and to a degree, she was a lot smarter than the books and the stereotype dumb blonde and all that stuff. She was a lot cleverer than that. But how are you gonna? You can't. Hollywood is a debauched state of evilness. It always has been since it was first set up by the mafia in the 20s and 30s. It was, how do you take that on and win? You can't unless you meet them, play their own game. I guess for actors, for male and for females, you've got to find a way of making this horror be your support, give you. I mean, there's so many stories out there about the likes of our greats, male and female, that could have been destroyed by Hollywood somewhere, you know, and the ones that survived have got mansions full of secrets, and you'd want to keep hold of them, really.
Yeah, well, sorry.
Mind talking about it?
Yeah. See, with Marilyn was forced, and she was forced to sleep with a couple of Russians when they were Soviets.
Yeah.
And there's a very good point there. Let's just see this one here. KP, lots of powerful politicians hierarchy were sleeping with Marilyn. She was a big mouth after drugs. Very good point. And I'll come back to that. Was Monroe a CIA operative?
No.
Right. Okay. Now let's get back to this. Marilyn Monroe knew secrets. Now, what the spin was that she knew secrets from JFK and RFK, Bobby Kennedy. Right? She knew secrets of them. And this may sound crazy, honestly. This may sound crazy, but it's an actual fact, what I'm going to say. So she knew secrets of them. Also, what she known, I'll just ask you now, Anthony, do you know UFOs? UFOs, right? They reckon that it's the biggest cover-up over anything, UFOs, right? Now it goes back to them. And they reckon that Monroe was actually taken to a facility where they had aliens. And that's one of the reasons why this other theorist said she was killed. She knew too much. And that was a very good point. I said I'd get back to lots of powerful politicians in hierarchy with sleeping with Marilyn. She was a big mouth after drugs. Do you know what she was given? Especially when she was actually forced, fancy go to bed with them, big Russian, big Soviet, two of them. On different occasions, I don't mean together. To get as much information out of him. And that's why IBR said, was she a CIA operative? Point is, she was used by the CIA for exactly what I'm telling you now. Exactly what I'm telling you now, to extract or try and get information of these two Soviet diplomats.
Yeah.
Right, so it's your own guesswork about that. But unfortunately, Marilyn, because she knew too much, because that lady knew too much, she was murdered. She was murdered, and you know how they murdered her? I'll tell you how they murdered her. Obviously, all this. Right? Drug overdose. Anyone can do that. I could kill someone tonight, throw a load of drugs down, and that would digest, by the way. They just wouldn't stay there. Your body's still working, digesting thing, that's all. So it would digest. Whether it'll go into the bloodstream, I don't know. And here's how she was murdered. With all the pills and everything found there. Very convenient. Loads of pills. What would she want to kill herself for? What would she want to kill herself for? She was a genius, by the way. She had a very high IQ. I forget what IQ she had. I forget what IQ. Anyway, do you know your bum? The passageway.
Yeah.
While she was fed these drugs and she was, incapacitated, she was injected there. And that's how she died. Murdered. Marilyn Monroe. So again, I'm just saying, people, my uncles didn't believe that she committed suicide at the time. And I was talking to them. They said, no, she was murdered, that girl. There's a quote, a beautiful quote by, nothing to do with Marilyn Monroe, and it's by Leo Tolstoy, the great man of war and peace. If you feel pain, you're alive. If you feel other people's pain, you're a human being. What a quote.
Yeah.
What a quote. I love that quote. I really do.
Yeah.
Because we do feel people's pain. We feel it today.
Yeah.
We feel it today, Anthony, as you know.
No, totally agree, Frank.
Yeah, there's a good one here. IBR says, it wasn't Hollywood set up by the Sabbatian bankers. Yes. Yeah. But it was a governmental thing as well, by the way. All bankers have something to do with the government. That's why they make so much money. And they pay all the politicians.
Oh no, higher government, something.
Norman, the world we live in is very odd. Look at Natalie Wood. We know what happened. She's been dead 42 years, yet her accused continues to live a full life. Just so what? The case is still open on there.
Yeah, it is odd, that one, and it was a shock
It's murder.
when it hit. Yeah,
He forced her on that. She hated water. The only time she ever went by water was on a beach. She hated going on yachts or anything.
again. So why would she, in the middle of the night,
Go for a swim.
off the big boat onto a little boat?
Yeah, exactly. She was murdered by... I didn't realise that Robert Wagner used to beat her up. He warned her. She married twice to him, you know. She got divorced. She got away from him first time. Then she remarried him. And her friends and everything else was saying, don't go back. What are you doing? I'm marrying him again. Don't do it. Because he used to beat her up. She was terrified.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yeah. Was the other one was that Hollywood employed fixers?
Oh, yeah. Fixed
So
everything.
if you ran over someone, which happened, the high-ranking actor, make it go away.
Yeah.
Make that crime go away so that our star do not lose money by appearing in court or by whatever.
Well, it's like homosexuality.
Yeah.
You know, some of these investigative, like, reporters, I'm not saying, like, you know, journalists who, they were just involved with Hollywood, and, you know, they were finding out that lots of actors, including the female actors as well, were lesbian, and lots of gays. You've only got to look at Rock Hudson. Now, Rock Hudson was it was a sham when he married a secretary or so.
Of course.
And, you know, you'd always see him like that on the beach, you know, and out and about and having dinner. And he was with young lads, men, Rock Hudson. Yeah. You know, so they always kept a lid on that.
Yeah.
They always kept a lid on that. Lots of lesbians about.
They devised this falseness, which is the essence of Hollywood, to make money, you know.
Of course. UFOs are real. I've been in one, says Red Jew.
Okay.
But that's one of the hypotheses, as I said, of Marilyn knowing about them, knowing she was talking to. They just brought her to this facility. I don't know where it was. I don't know who it was. It could have been JFK himself. Because Truman, this film of him talking to, it's been suppressed now, talking to an alien.
Yeah.
Talking to an alien, R.E.S. Truman.
Yeah.
And it lived for years, you know. And that's where they reckon that she was brought there to this facility.
Yeah.
And was just looking at, wasn't speaking to it, just looking at. Just look, could have been dead then, you know, I don't know, but looking at this thing, an otherworldly thing.
Yeah.
And IBR, didn't Admiral Byrd say the South Pole was a no-go zone to humanity due to its being inhabited by alien beings? Yes. Yes. This is not a conspiracy theory, by the way, but we had two aviators who used to go in those, biplanes, those double wing planes. I forget what year it was. It's something like I forget what year, 1920 or something like that. All cock and brown.
Yeah.
And they were flying over. They went up to look at the North Pole. Now, IBR mentions the South Pole, Antarctica. This is the Arctic, right? So the Antarctica is the South Pole, and the Arctic is the North Pole. And as they were flying over, they were giving messages, sending radio messages back to base. And all of a sudden, they went, whoa, look at this. And they were looking at, this is over the North Pole. They said, there's a big black hole. A black hole. And whether they were told to go into it, it's never been divulged. But anyway, they reckon that they did go into it. And what they said, what it was trees and a river or two and grass.
Oh.
And then nothing, disappeared. Just disappeared.
It's a strange one.
Yeah, they were saying this back to base. And if you remember about the triangle, the Bermuda Triangle,
Absolutely.
when those planes were going over it, and they were radioing back saying, "This is unbelievable. The land has changed. The sea has changed into land."
Yeah.
And they were running out of fuel. And they said, we're going into land. They were the last messages.
Like an optical illusion. Yeah. I mean, that is such a harrowing, intense story, the Bermuda Triangle, for over generations, isn't it?
Yes.
Of the disappearance of not only planes, but ships.
Ships, everything. It's not a conspiracy theory, actually. Accused I can't say that word, barbiturate poisoning Monroe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And IBR says there's been a number of strange deaths of Hollywood A-listers. Loads. I'll tell you one now. And it was a girl, an actress. And I think I mentioned this. I watched a film called Toxic Skies. And it was about chemtrails and an investigative reporter. Film. Not so long ago. And this investigative reporter at the beginning gets killed. They kill him. Drug overdose, but they forced it down him. So he died, and his brother didn't believe it. And they lived states apart, if you know what I mean. And he came up to investigate it. He said, my brother would never have committed suicide. So anyway, he's in his home, his flat, and he finds these papers that were hidden because he was just packing things up, because he's gone, his only brother.
Yeah.
He finds these papers, and it was about chemtrails. And he goes to see the hospital where, autopsy or whatever, and he meets this doctor that was played by Anne Hesh, very fine actress. Anne Hesh, been in loads of things. Only younger, in her 40s, I think. And she wanted to invest. She did, did the fact, but she wanted to investigate the chemtrails. She wanted to investigate the chemtrails. Because it fascinated her, the script. It's never been shown before. It's never been shown since.
Wow.
Toxic skies. She ended up dead.
Wow.
Car crash. Going home. Broad daylight. Not overnight. Where you could have been out for a bevy or whatever. Anne Hesh. So there's one of your A-listers there, IBR. Anne Hesh. I am very worried about Mel Gibson and his Hollywood insight. He does allude to knowing things about Hollywood that are very dark. He got banned, didn't he, from making films a few years ago because he called out the Jews.
Yeah.
He called them out. Yeah. And he was banned. Say the Jews own everything. They own the media. They own this. They own television, films, you name it, they own. And what's going on in Gaza today and the Lebanon? I watched footage today. Horrific.
Relentless. Horrific. Yes.
You see these fellas, these soldiers, IDF soldiers, I think they were at like a balcony or a roof, whatever. And they were smoking. And in the background, you see, like this big long building, like homes or whatever. Big long, a little bit in the distance. And the next, it just blown up. No bomb, they were already planted. All these, wherever they were, planted. And all the residents were in. And you just see it just went, just blew up, and they made up, smoking. Going, look at this now. I couldn't believe it. Another footage going into this woman's bedroom, married woman, and grabbing her clothes out and dressing up in her underwear. Think about what they were going to do to that woman. In a scene, these kids in body bags, children, waiting to be buried. That was only this afternoon. The Isaac Cappy rabbit hole is a deep one. Your wooden cocoa. IBR. Hamas are just as bad. No, everything's been debunked to that year. I don't want to, honestly, mate. Hamas, listen, since 1947, these atrocities have been occurring. Since 1947. I've seen so much footage in the last year to sicken anybody. You don't find it on YouTube. And it's been debunked about putting babies in ovens and beheading them, and that's been debunked. I hope you know that. I don't think you'd find that on the Western press. It's been debunked. Never happened. Never happened. They're not red, they are Satan's disciples. And, you know, good enough for the red Jew. I love this man. Fair dues, Frank. Thank you. Hamas are breaking out of a concentration camp as anyone would in any country. Yeah. That's all it was. They were being sniped every day. About 4 or 5 years ago, was it even less? There was a young lad, I forget what he was doing, in no man's land, you know. And sniper got him in the leg. And, you know, it's not like a film where you can get up and run away. You're immobilized. And he went down. And he said, we'll wait. This is on audio. He said, we'll wait now for someone. The 2 snipers, the 2 Israeli snipers, we'll wait for someone. And we loved them. It was a young girl, 21 years of age, holding a white flag. She was a nurse. They shot her in the fucking head. And they laughed about it. And the Anfield says, Frank, this subject has different views. Of course it does. Of course it does. Right, another theory, and we're staying on the stars. I'll have a guess who I'm going to do, Anthony.
Someone close to us.
Someone very close to you, actually.
Yeah.
And it's John himself.
Yeah.
You've got to look at John Lennon. And John Lennon was one of the greatest activists, anti-war activists.
Yeah.
Even in this country. Even in this, he actually congratulated Harold Wilson, John Lennon. He congratulated him because Lyndon Baines Johnson, the President of the United States, he said, I want your boys to Harold Wilson. I want your boys to come into Vietnam with us. And Wilson turned around, looked at him right in the face and said, my boys are not going nowhere near Vietnam. You've dug a hole. I'll go in it. Or fill it in and get out of there. Harold Wilson.
Yeah.
We could have easily been able. Don't forget, Americans want someone behind them, behind their backs all the time.
Yeah.
Because people don't realise there was Australian troops there and New Zealand troops in Vietnam fighting with them rather. And Lennon said, thank you, Mr. Wilson. He sent him a letter, I think, or something. I don't know whether it was a letter or a telegram on mobile phones, no text then, as you know.
No, you he wasn't afraid of writing it down and saying, "Dear Frank, totally agree with you, what you're saying."
Yeah.
Because
And he said, well, he did send them a communique of some sort, whether it was a letter or telegram or whatever. John Lennon congratulating them. He said, "We don't need wars. We've got to finish wars." And when he was, Xmas is over, and here's the crux of it. War is over if you want it.
Yeah.
And that was to the people in America about Vietnam.
Yeah.
If you want it. In other words, get out on the streets like what they're doing now, which they were. They were all out on the streets looking at Lenin giving us a speech and Yoko.
Yeah.
Can I just go here? Be on the right side of history. This is slaughter. Yes. There is no thread.
Yeah.
I go back to your country in 1566 with the likes of Sir Humphrey Gilbert. He went over from Liverpool. He wasn't from Liverpool. He was no Scouser, but he went over, and there was a lad by the name of Thomas Churchyard, who was a Liverpool scribe. And he went on with all the soldiers, sailed over. He was just a scribe. He was writing about the war. It was like artists drawing what was happening.
Mm.
And he said he went over in order to cause famine. Did Sir Humphrey Gilbert, in order to cause famine. And he carried on by saying he had every man, woman, and child of them put to the sword if they did not comply to his rules. And he has a line of 10, he has a line of heads on both sides leading up to his tent, with the heads looking up, of men, women, and children on stakes. So you look down at them, and they were looking up at you. If you did not yield your land. And you're so right, John Lennon, great supporter of Irish unity, God rest his soul, says the North Red. Absolutely. John?
Yeah, Irish blood in him. He's proud to be a Celtic.
Yeah.
A Celt. As am I.
Yeah, very much so. The Anfield Road. Lennon, great songwriter and artist. When a simple ballad of Imagine starts, the beauty unravels in its glory, in all its glory. Simple ballads of Imagine starts, the beauty unravels in all its glory. He said, all ashamed, some dumb American entered a great life and mind. Graham Chapman. Well, that'll be involved in the conspiracy theory. And as I said, do not allow what you're fed by the authorities to be the truth. Come to your own conclusions.
Yeah, question.
Question it, of course. Like my uncles, they questioned Marilyn Monroe, the IBR. Vanessa Beeley, brilliant. Vanessa Beeley of UK Column News has great journalism on Syria and the Middle East. I follow it. It's Vanessa, fantastic investigative reporter. Can I suggest something to you, lads? I watched, I don't know whether, Double Down News. They doubled down the news. And I was watching it today again on YouTube. Double Down News. That's all you've got to Google, and you'll have them. Get today's one. Please get today's one that went out today. Double Down News. Please just do it. But well then, there IBR. And Robin Williams, yes. And the Red Juice says, IBR, UK column are great. Yes. Red Jew, they are. And Sonia Poulton is worth a watch as well. Especially a video. I haven't seen it, Red Jew. I haven't seen it. The North Red, the Great Hunger was genocide. You wouldn't cocoa. You would not cocoa. The 1845 famine. As George Bernard Shaw said, how could there be a famine when the country was full of food? And there was an official thing about 750,000 people dying. But the real figure's around 3 million.
Yeah.
3 million.
Yeah.
It's shocking what they cover up.
Yeah.
They don't come out with the real total victims. They never do, even in wars.
No, still don't.
I knew I'd get upset. But see, you've got this. You've got this John Lennon. John Lennon. There are two things that you know what you're doing when you're there of something like that. JFK, when I was a young lad, knew exactly what I was doing. And I was in my Auntie Mary's, and my couple of uncles were there. And, a couple of other people, cousins. And they were playing cards. And another uncle came in. And he went, my Uncle Ronnie, he said, have you heard the news? Kennedy's been assassinated. You see, so that was one.
Yeah.
The other, I was living down south. It's a thing. 7:10 in the morning. Because just a week or two before, we were just listening to the radio, and there's, after 5 years or so, there's Lennon singing.
Yeah.
Woman.
Yeah, new album out.
Oh, and it's Lennon's back. And I used to go into the what centre was it? It was where all these, the arts centre. I always went in there for a drink.
Yeah.
And they were saying, have you heard John's song? Will the Beatles get back together? And all this, And got woken up. Francis would get called. John Lennon's dead. 7:10 in the morning.
Yeah.
And when I went to the Arts Centre that evening, all these people were coming up to me and hugging me, saying sorry. Sorry. One of our own.
Yeah.
And they reckon that this Chapman was asleep. They had him somehow. The CIA filled him with all these pings or whatever. I don't mean on the day, by the way. I'm talking a few years before.
Yeah.
Because he was obsessed with Lenin.
Yeah.
And he was living in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And he had this girl, and he was walking around because, you know, an Hawaiian girl, he said, this is Yoko Ono, because she was, you know, different from other people.
Yeah.
And they reckon they got him and filled him with whatever. And he became asleep, you know, like these thought things. And because there are sleepers around the world today, spies and whatever.
Yeah.
Certain things, you know, it could be a phone call like that, under the way. They know what they had to do. And Nixon hated Lenin. The American deep state and the neocons hated him.
Yeah.
Get rid of this fella.
He was a threat.
And they got him to do it. That was to make sure all those. If you're going to like shoot anyone, you might do one or two at the most and run away. He never he filled he filled his body with the bullets.
5 shots. What I remember reading from the very early age, and I went through exactly as you described, being woken up, and you know what a fanatic I am about him and his work. Frank always have been. I went out and I bought every piece of paper that came out, even the crap newspapers that we have here. I just bought it. Some of them I didn't read. I bought it. I just felt like I needed as much information as I could because it didn't make sense. Totally didn't make sense. And in the first magazines and the stuff that came out, they made great reference to the fact that this crazy wacko, whatever title they've called him, adopted a military stance and fired 5 shots at him. And the particular bullets and the stuff, it was not an accidental or a chance shooting. It was planned.
Of course it was.
Meticulous. That
of course it was.
Lenin was not going to get up.
Yeah, of course it was. And that's the theory.
Yeah.
That this fellow was a sleeper and he just got and bang, 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 bang. John was dead. Well, he never died right away because he said to Yoko, I love you, Yoko.
Yeah, he's in the back of the police car, and the policeman said, do you know your name? Because he couldn't wait for an ambulance. So the police picked him up, put him in the car. And he said, yes, I'm John Lennon. 5 minutes later, when they got to the hospital, he'd gone.
Died.
What the conspiracy thing there is valid. But what we forget in life is that people like to be associated with celebrity. So people cloud the issue.
Yeah.
There's one particular doctor who came out with a great statement for all the press to say, yeah, he was there. Sadly, he couldn't save John, but he held his heart in his hand, and this and this and this. And then years and years later, like almost in recent times, he wasn't even in the room.
No, wasn't there. I think that's the same with President Kennedy. to be honest, because President Kennedy, he wasn't murdered by Lee Harvey Oswald.
No.
He wasn't murdered by him. And
No.
the North Red Seas there, Dorothy Kilgallen was another very suspicious death. She was a witness.
Yes.
She was a witness to JFK's death. And all of a sudden she was dead. There was about 18 people who had suspicious deaths after Kennedy.
Robert Kennedy?
Oh.
Robert Kennedy, they arrested the guy who pointed out point blank, yeah, but he was killed with a bullet to the back by one of his own.
Yeah, yeah.
The coroner, oh, forgive me, I've forgotten his name.
Don't worry.
He said that. He did the autopsy. He said, no, he was killed by very, very close range at the back of the head by one of his security people
behind him.
That was gone. That was never seen in the newspapers.
Well, it was like JF, the car. Now, when you see it, Oliver Stone, when he did that thing, it was absolutely brilliant. And you see his head going back. If you're hit on the back of the head, it'll go forward. The force of it, not backwards. And it got him through there, right through the throat.
Yeah.
The thing on the grassy knoll shot him.
Yeah.
And the likes of these people who were around at the time by the grassy knoll all ended up dead.
Yeah.
Under suspicious circumstances.
Yeah. Thomas Noguchi. I think the coroner was called Thomas Noguchi. And most people out there would know. He brought a book out called Coroner to the Stars because he was based in Hollywood. And there's so many in that. You can still buy that book. You buy it on eBay and Amazon and stuff for pence. It's a very, very interesting book. He was so respected that ever remember the TV program Quincy?
Yeah.
Jack Klugman. That was based on Thomas Noguchi, who was a Chinese man. Yeah. But Hollywood or the producers did not want the Chinese man to be the star of the show. So they appointed a Chinese man as Jack's assistant.
Yeah.
But the story there were based on his work.
It just shows you, doesn't it, the power of Hollywood.
Well, you said it again. It's Hollywood, but it's whoever pulls the string on the media, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they can make us look like saints or
villains.
Yes.
And that's the way it is.
Yeah.
And that's the way America is today.
Yes.
We're good, you're bad.
Yeah.
That's what it is. We're good, you but look at this. Yeah. Look at this. Hey.
Yeah.
Symbol.
It's insane. I mean, Lenin said that 68, I think, the world is run by insane people for insane purposes.
Exactly. It's like a fantastic quote by the Shakespeare. He said, "What a terrible era that in which idiots govern the blind."
Yeah.
That's Shakespeare. Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Govern the blind. Idiots governing the blind.
Yeah.
And I say that in when I'm doing the gunpowder plot, actually.
Yeah.
Let's see what these people are saying. Nordred, Chapman, just like Jack Ruby, Lee Harvey Oswald, Saran. No, Saran is, well, it's. I think it was spelled Ciran, Saran. Hyphenated name, by the way, Saran. All CIA, FBI sleepers, yes. Every one of them. Every one of them.
It's just.
And Reggie, not Red, Dorothy knew too much. You wouldn't Coco. Reggie. Wouldn't Coco, mate. Wouldn't Coco. The Reggie says, when I heard about Lennon's murder, it crushed me to the core. He was always my favourite Beatle.
Yeah.
John. Think about how many witnesses were dead within a short period of JFK. Yeah, lots of them.
Yeah.
Lots. See, the media, you've only got to look at Bilderberg, the Bilderberg group. They're all powerful men. And has anybody ever heard of Le Cercle? Le Cercle. And Le Cercle is another secret society that's funded by the CIA. The CIA are everywhere. They're here. They're everywhere. And they're funded by them. And Princess Di. I'm not into the royals, as you know. I wasn't into her either, to be honest. And, you know, people say, oh, she was murdered, yeah, but they had different ideas why she was murdered. One of them was to say that, you know, a lot of them were saying that it was because she was trying to bring down the Queen and everybody loved the Queen and whatever. Now, the Le Cercle that was funded by the CIA, and it's French, but it's not just French. One of the Rockefellers is a member, or was a member. Rockefeller most probably still are today. And what was going on. Now, what Diane was doing, and she has a great influence over everyone in the world. They loved her here.
Yeah.
Because she was exposing things about the royals. And what she was going on about, they were filming her everywhere. And she was totally against wars, and in particular, landmines.
Yeah.
You know, when kids, even in Vietnam, you know, were just going to school or whatever, stepping on a landmine, being killed. Kids playing out, being killed. Men going to work, being legs blown off and whatever.
Yeah.
And she said, this is wrong. We've got to do away with landmines. We have to do away with them. So this Le Cercle, this French thing, called Le Cercle, Le Cercle. They were looking at ways of shutting her up. Shutting her up. Because they said the industries, just like today, would lose billions because it won't stop at landmines. There are too many people around the world going, yeah, this is great. We'll have too many protests around the world Let's get rid of it once and for all. Let's shut her up. And he has a shut up. Remember the fella who used to look after her?
Yeah.
The guy.
Yeah.
He survived it.
Yeah.
Never heard of him, mate. Never heard of him.
Not an interview anywhere, is it?
No. No. And this is what you've got. And the sake, it's just like today. This is why they have wars. Because these industries, the likes of Raytheon in America, make billions.
Yeah.
The only industry in this country making billions, well, make it, is up there, making a big, massive profit over everybody else in this country. I forget the name of it, but they make bombs, planes, you name it, shells, and everything to do with war.
Just crazy. It's as we've said time and time again. There's no money in peace.
No money in peace whatsoever.
We want peace.
Norman says, Ruby walked into the police garage without anyone questioned. Yes, yet it was cornered by police everywhere before he shot Oswald. He was let in. Yep. Everything was organised. Nobody can can convince you otherwise. Governor Blind is still relevant today. Of course it is. We're the blind, us. Kennedys were shutting down the Zionists. Yes. And they always blame the mafia. Gianni DeCana, I forget his bloody name. He blames him. A mafia boss. He just fucking carries on.
Well, around the same time as Robert Kennedy, of course, was the absolutely magnificent Martin Luther King, who was assassinated on a balcony.
Oh, yeah.
And reportedly...
James Earl Ray.
Yeah, I've not bought the book yet, but Martin Luther King's son brought a book out with the blessing of his mother and his family to say he did not shoot.
He didn't do it. Exactly.
And obviously, all roads lead to the FBI.
Yep. I think that's why, I know this may sound strange and stupid or whatever. Do you know what? I've always said that we're wag the dog to America.
Yeah.
We're wag the dog, whatever America and Europe. You do as we say.
Yeah.
And as some lad only last week in the White House, a White House spokesman named Matt Miller, DeForia, what's his name? Larry DeForia or something. This journalist, and he was then he just went like that to this Matthew Miller, White House spokesman. Said, "What right does America to tell other countries, sovereign countries, what to do? What right do you have?" And he ignored them. This is like Joe the questions. Totally ignored them. Do you know what happened to him? He went over to Israel to do some reporting, or somewhere, forget now. But anyway, the Israelis have got beaten them up as we speak. Did you know that?
No.
Same report.
No.
He worked for the Grey Zone. I follow the Grey Zone. I always forget his name. The Grey Zone. Oh, shit. shocking. They'll have you, and that's why I think some politicians are afraid in case
Yeah.
weird. They are, aren't they? Anthony, what's your opinion on secrets within painting and the artwork? I'm going next week.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the Da Vinci Code.
Really?
I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Too late to do it now.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on
I
Anfield Raw?
I absolutely do agree that pictures can be used, rather like the Egyptian hieroglyphics, to give out information which is not,
For the public.
yes, which is not actually kind of broadcast, you know, whether it be death or whether it be a story within a story. You know, the old line of every picture tells a story, and it does. But yes, I do believe that there are certain artists across history who've put out information through their work. And I remember a line which is it's slightly different from what we're talking about, but from the great Ian Jury, who I loved the Ian Jury in the Blockheads, and an interviewer was questioning on his beliefs of anti-cruelty to children, and he was trying to explain that I put stuff in songs. If I were to put in the obvious, don't you hit that child, don't be cruel to children, bum 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 bum, he said the songs would be dropped from the playlists, no one would buy the record. But if I put it in and dress it as a pop song, people will buy it, which is similar to Lennon, the way Lennon worked with his songs. He wasn't afraid to put it in. And the greatest effort after growing up as a child in the 50s and 60s was Working Class Hero. And it still rings true today, you know. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you know Working Class Hero? That's rubbish by some people, you know, because what they say was that Lennon was not from a working class background, and I think that's shocking.
Yeah.
To say a thing like that.
It's because he was brought up by his aunt, his mum's elder sister, because his family felt that his mum was not in a position to bring him up because she was struggling.
Yeah.
You know, and she you know, her and her husband, John's dad, had split up. So in the great Victorian mentality of people, which still lingers today in certain families, it's like, okay, you can't bring your son up, so we're going to give it to your elder sister who lives in a posher house, Menlove Avenue, kind of more of a middle class area. So he'll be brought up there. But
it was just to undermine his song. That's all it was, that these people were coming out and saying that.
All the time. Yeah. It's like everything we do. You can talk the most valid and heartfelt and reasonable, solid truth, and then there'll be people to say, but what you, there's always going to be that. And it's like this, the thing that, as you said, when that song came out, people were quick to say, he wasn't working class.
Exactly.
But he was. He was. His mum and dad were. His auntie might not have been. But that's not, you know.
Yeah, and they always say, well, Ringo Starr was, but so was George Harrison.
Yeah.
And the other fella who lived in Spee.
Yeah. And so was Paul. Paul and George.
I'm saying the other fella from Spee, originally from Spee, Paul McCartney.
Yes, yeah.
It's just trying to get at the lads, the 4 lads, you know. But anyway, let's see what these lads are saying. The Anfield Row. Before Ruby shot Oswald, the car owner had been heard beeping to the time Ruby's assassination of Oswald. Go watch it. It's a signal to kill Oswald. Marina, Oswald's wife, years later said Oswald was doctored. Yeah. That means he was, photo was doctored. That's right, the photo was doctored.
Yeah.
But again, he was drugged, you know, I'm telling you now. The Red Juice says Princess Diana hugged people others wouldn't.
Yeah, she did. I liked her. I was a big fan.
And Ross, Norman says, Raw, yes, it's right before the shot. The Anfield Raw. Red Jew hugged sex-trafficked women, but he never sweats. He can't, apparently. That's Andrew. LBJ hated Robert Kennedy as well. Yeah, well, he hated JF. He was, I keep saying this, I think he was involved, or I know that he was involved with JFK's death. He was part of it. The Anfield. It's really weird that the horn beeps not to alert police bringing out Oswald, as he was already led out. It was Ruby's signal to act. Oswald was seen many a time in the Ruby nightclub. And Raw, I was talking about Princess Diana, not that pervert. Max Footy Short. Hello, Frank. Hiya, Max. Sorry I'm late there, mate. But you... Hello, chat room. Has anyone let on support Max, the LFC Footy Show? You must have thought that I was doing a footy show. That's tomorrow night. Anfield Row. Norman. Very true. Such an interesting cover-up. The Red Jew, Da Vinci Code, yes. Yeah, do that next week. Definitely. North Red. The Zionists have the West leaders by the balls. Now, you could have put that a bit more lightly. You could have said, the Zionists, the West leaders by the town halls. Can you say that? To the point. That's what we're talking about. Couldn't you say it like, give it a bit more decorum? I'm only joking. Anyway, the West leaders are paying the rest who haven't been untrapped to see through and support their evil worldwide Epstein's broths. Yeah, brothels, but one example. Yes. Yep. It's like this fucking Diddy fella. I think people they're just focusing on that. Oh, he's a great rapper, oh, yeah. And this Jay-Z and fucking Denzel Washington too. All those who were at the parties, these freak shows. It was trafficking young girls and lads to have sex. And he was filming them. Say like I went, for example. They'd film me having sex with a girl or a fella. And they'd say, if you open your fucking mouth, we're going to show this. That's how evil he is. And his cronies, his mates. His mates. They didn't need to be filmed because they were already dead. I seen a part of it was fucking horrible, where it was just audio, and you see him, picture of him with a couple of other fellas, and he was saying, "This is what we do to white men, to the white boys, or white men or the white boys. We're quite so sure now." And this young fellow was being raped. They've got the audio. Listen to it. I listened to it last week.
See, the sickening thing is that there are surrounding people who knew exactly what was going on, who was saying nothing.
Of course.
And it's the horrible old story of hiding in plain sight. What are you going to do about it? I'm famous. Can't touch me. Savile.
Max says they never landed on the moon. Kubrick recorded it in the studio. I'm doing that next week. I think these lads are there. I think the psychic. I think they've been trained by the CIA or MI6 to read me mind. I'm doing that. And I'm doing a Da Vinci Code. There's more to it, than the moon landing. There's more to it. There's something which I'm going to explain next week about Mars and the probe up there. There's something there. Right, I'll be explaining that next week.
Wow.
So that's the Max. Red Jew, says Norman and Raw. The Queen is so loved by all, supposedly, who paid to get her son off from going to jail. Despicable. Loose ends tied up. Interesting, he didn't last long once Oswald was accused, refused legal aid, and was beaten, and other disgusting acts. Do you ever remember, and these lads will, do you ever remember Jeffrey Archer?
Oh, yeah.
And he went down to a girl in one of the stations, Houston or somewhere, with 2,000 quid. She phoned him, I want 2,000, or I'm going to expose you. And anyway, he gave her 2,000 quid. And when it was all revealed, and he was saying, "Why did you give that woman?" He said, "Well, I don't know how she got my phone number, and I felt so sorry for her that she wanted to start a new life. So I gave her 2,000 quid, then it all came out, didn't it?" The funniest thing was his wife, Mary, on Question Time. And I'm going back when Dimbleby was doing it. And Ian Hislop was on with her.
Yeah.
And he ribboned her. He ribbons her a slop. He said, "Do you expect us to believe that?" He felt sorry for her. Feel sorry for me? Do you think he'd send me $2,000 tomorrow? Do you think he'll come around and say, "Yeah, here, there's $2,000. Brilliant it was. He ridiculed her. Ridiculed him as well. Then all of a sudden he just went away, didn't he?
Yeah. What I held against him, other than his shit books, but was the fact that he got off on all the tax evasion charges. And Lester Piggott, God bless him,
Yeah.
was imprisoned.
Yeah.
Lost his knighthood. Was his knighthood or yeah, and
No,
nothing.
he fucking didn't. He's a lord. You talking about Archer?
Archie never lost his. That was the thing.
No, I'm sorry, he never lost. I thought you said it.
Lester Piggott, who I
Oh,
regard.
Lester Piggott, because of fucking taxes, and he lost his OBE and everything else. He was about to be knighted,
Yeah,
and he
was
lost everything.
a national hero.
Yeah, and he lost that. I'm sorry there, because I was trying.
No,
I
that's
tell
right.
you,
You know,
lost nothing.
I'm never going to stick up for any of those. It's not.
No, and Paul Lester, national hero, as you said, brought smiles into spirits and roads, didn't he? Lester, if you had him in the army and he lost, oh, he ate that Lester Piggott. Next race he won. Oh, I love Leicester. Yeah. The Anfield says, yes, Frankie, be interesting subject. I believe that artists were our window of those times. Of course they were.
Yeah.
Of course they were. You would know nothing about Liverpool only for these people.
Yeah. Or Herdman.
You'd know nothing about them.
There should be a statue.
Nothing about Liverpool the way it was. And it's just like reading a book with pictures.
Yeah.
Colour pictures.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I've got one here. I hope. So just to show you what I mean, Red Raw. This one. That one. Now, that's where the artist, this bill shows you, didn't I, the other night?
That's right.
That one there, that building. Right. Yeah. Now, I'm going to show you something else. A coordination ceremony you're looking through. Do you see that there, that building?
Yeah.
That was a pub. And it was called the Assizes.
Wow.
And you know when people, mad this is mad. When they used to be found guilty, you know, for a murder, capital punishment, so they were going to hang. So they all ran over to, they used to have a bevy before the verdict came in. Bet you he's found guilty, bet they're going to hang him. So they used to have bets in the Assizes, the pub, the Assizes. So they used to run back to the courtroom in St. George's. And when they were found guilty, they used to run over and get paid out. Whoever betted that he'd be found guilty.
Wow.
And on the day of the execution, now don't forget, it was open, public hangings then. And they used to say, you know, they used to either have a bet whether he'd go to the gallows kicking and screaming or quietly. So they used to have bets on that as well, in the Assizes. Isn't that brilliant?
Yeah. Right.
That would be lost forever, only for Herdman.
Yeah, absolutely.
These things. The Mill Lane, where the art gallery is today and where that building was, that's where artists used to go in. Hence, the art gallery.
Just, yeah.
Great. So you're right there, Anfield.
Yeah.
It's a massive, massive thing to go through. I had to read during my degree and whatever I was doing else afterwards, the monastic chronicles about the Dark Ages. And I wouldn't to know nothing about the Dark Ages only because of the monastic chronicles. All documented.
Yeah.
I would never have mentioned anything about Richard Dew, about the Great Storm of Liverpool of 1565. 1565.
Yeah.
But it was a hurricane because that was written down, known as the Great Storm. I would never have known about the soldiers going over to Ireland only because of a Liverpool scribe, Thomas Churchyard, in order to commit famine. Order to scorch the land. There were 6 famines, not one, of 1845 or 1566. There was another one after 1566 in 1727, where hundreds of thousands of people died. Another one 2 years later, 1729, hundreds of thousands of people died. There was another one in 1740, more hundreds of thousands of deaths. And the final one before the 1845 one was in 1800. So William Pitt the Younger, a year later, said, I've had enough of these famines. I'm bringing them into the Union. He thought he was doing right because at least they'd be fed.
Yeah.
They'd be fed because these English owners of the lands that they confiscated off the proper owners, the Irish, at least he'd have to feed. That was shocking what he did.
It's shocking.
And he had the other one in 1845. I'll just go through these, people, if you don't mind. And let's see. American band in particular called Lennon an hypocrite at the working class hero subject. Lennon, who claims to be a working class hero, was from a... That's how fucking stupid these Yanks are.
Yeah. Yeah. Shine all
Pathetically. I always remember with what's his name? What's his bloody name? Phillips. Radio Merseyside.
Roger Phillips.
Roger.
Yeah.
And they had people from America on. And they said to one lad, and I've seen this on film, by the way. They said to one lad, you know, you're from the state of Massachusetts. He went, yeah. And they showed him a blank. They showed him a map of America, but without names on it. They were blank states. Can you pick out the state where you were born? Never had a fucking clue. Never had a clue. And they asked this girl, younger, these are fucking students. These are being educated, supposedly. And they asked this young students, you know, university. And they said, I'm not going to believe this. Where's the United Kingdom? And she went, oh. And he said, England. Oh, he said, take a guess, where is it? Fucking Mexico. So Anfield Row, that's them. That's them. No, P. Diddy knows too much. I suppose we should offer our sympathy at his untimely demise in the coming week.
Yeah, might well be, but I give him no sympathy. Deserves what he gets.
Listen to me, Reggie. I'm not a psychotic. I just see the future. Oh, fucking great. I'm going to finish on these, lads. I'm sorry, I'm going right down. Oh, do you know O'Brien? Oh, do you know? Frank, right up my street, this, mate. Conspiracy theories were first coined by the CIA after the Kennedy assassination to ridicule those with eyes to see.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed the best, mate. You missed the unbelievable one. And that was all about Arthur Askey was a MI6, was it MI5 or MI6 spy during the Second World War. Arthur Askey and his partner at the time, Stinker Murdoch. 2 MI5 or MI6 spies. Arthur spoke an an accent. He spoke perfect German. No accent. Not like, hello there. My name is Arthur Askey. Not like that. He spoke perfect German. And that's how he got into Germany, doing the spy work. That's what you missed. I'm sorry about that, Dino. But watch the rerun, it's fantastic. Kevin Hart has been quiet over his pal, did he? Yeah. Yeah, Anfield, yeah. They all have. Denzel. Everybody loves Denzel. He was always at the parties. Now he's going, oh, I was there, but I went to... Fuck off. Stop believing that. And Dino says, I'm gutted to have missed this one, mate. Well, you shouldn't be watching fucking football, should you? Who's you watching tonight? England. I'm only messing, Dino. Honestly, mate. Well, hang on. He's answering to Norman here. Was that why his cheeks were always inflated? Because he had, I don't know. I don't know who they're talking about. The Anfield. Thanks, Frankie. Wonderful art. You have to respect artists who painted things as it was. Yes.
Did you? Yeah, historians.
And Norman says, really enjoying this show. Thank you. Thank you so much, Norman. And he's all right, Norman, Polo mint. Roger. Oh, come on. Is this Roger and out or what? I'm seeing you.
Today, Phillips.
Oh. The Red Jew. Fab show, Frank. You never let your flock down 100%. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. No, Shanks would have played Arthur Askey in goal after signing Ronnie. That was the funniest thing ever. Funniest thing after when he was selling the journalist. He's a colossus. And someone said about it, how we can play Arthur Askey in goal. You just can't get away, can you, from Shankly? Arthur Askey in goal. Can't get away from Arthur Askey either. And then says, been one of the best tonight this round, thanks. And the Anfield, great show tonight. Was George Formby in the CIA? I mean, you should see what I was just seeing when I'm cleaning windows.
Yeah, turned up nice again.
Oh, when I see cleaning windows. Okay, now. And this is what we had to put. Well, we never did. Our parents and grandparents put up with all this, and they loved them. Oh, he's lovely. I always remember, I was looking around with this girl when I was 20. Oh, she was lovely. She's no longer with us now. No longer. And she was talking about her mate, right? She said, oh, yeah, she's got a fella now. He's not half like George Formby. I said, go away, George Formby. I said, are you fucking right, George Formby? And she said, I never ever swore in front of anyone. And I wouldn't swear in front of any women. And she said, did you just swear then? I went, no. George Formby. Okay, they'll make anyone swear. Anyway, Anthony, mille grazie. Thank you.
My dear friend, thank you, Frank.
Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah.
What you have to start looking at, you being the artist you are, you'll have to start looking at the Da Vinci, Leonardo da Vinci, because you know with all his paintings he had codes, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so just have a look at that. I just loved, how can I put this? I loved his work, I loved his philosophy, I loved everything about him. And I'll give you one last, and this is in a nutshell, one last conspiracy theory. Listen to this one. Has anybody ever heard of Christopher Marlowe? Right? Christopher Marlowe was a great writer, an unbelievable writer. And his works were absolutely, this is around the Shakespearean time, by the way. And his life was taken away in 1593. 1593. Now you're wondering, why was it taken away? First and foremost, 1593, if you think about that time, the Reformation was going on. Everybody had to comply to everything about church, about the church. He was an atheist. He was an atheist. But he used to have a circle of friends. You know, they were churchgoers, but they didn't, because these were the intellectuals at the time. And they didn't like any atheist, not them. The government didn't like any atheists. So they said, let's do him in, because he'll start writing about the devil and everything else. And they said, we need more than that. And they found him in a compromised position. And that compromised position, or situation, not position, situation, because that could go the wrong way with what I'm going to say, was with a young lad. And he was homosexual. And the way they say about today, homosexuality in different states, you know, I'm talking about the Middle East especially.
Yeah.
You can be put to death. And that was the same here.
Yeah.
So you have to hide your sexuality. And you have to be careful of your sexuality. So he was murdered for that. He was murdered by a government agent. Now, if you murdered anyone and then, automatically you were executed. But this fellow wasn't, because he was an agent. Yet he went to court. And he was fined a shilling. He was actually fined a shilling. Because he was an agent. What you've got to look at also is the conspiracy theory surrounding him. Because, you know, people said, oh, he wasn't murdered. It was just another, you know, ploy or whatever. And he got off to Spain. he got off to Spain, and he actually Cervantes who wrote Don Quixote.
Yeah.
He said that was him. He wrote Don Quixote, but he also wrote Shakespeare. This is like the conspiracy theory.
That's what I'd heard. That's where his name came up. Yeah.
Well, the point is, it's just because this is the elite now speaking. You know, if I was the elite, I'd be saying, yeah, he wrote it because Shakespeare only went to grammar school. What? Christopher Marlowe, he was at Cambridge. He was the elite.
Here we go. Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's how the elite fucking spin things.
Rewrite it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So they wanted him, you know, this Shakespeare to be, you know, not Shakespeare, but Christopher Marlowe.
Yeah.
The fucking Americans think that it was a fella named De Vere. What do they know? They think John Lennon was living in a £1 million mansion.
Dickheads.
Absolutely. And they think England's in fucking Mexico. Come on. And look. The Anfield, the comedy trio. Tony LF. Great show, Frankie and Anthony. And the rounds of applause. Thank you.
Cheers, Tony.
Norman. Brilliant from Frank and Anthony. Really brilliant. Or like Shanks would say, great, just great.
Great.
The Anfield, great show, great people. What more can be asked for, says the Anfield. Thank you, Anfield.
Brilliant.
Suspicion and Verity. Yes, he's talking about Christopher Marlowe. Yeah.
Yeah.
North Red. A man led a way through Palestine. That's what, and I'm not saying that. I can't even say Kelleher's first name. You know, in Gaelic. And that's what the English done to both the Welsh, Scottish, and the Irish. Get that Gaelic off. Get that sign. Get this on. Say it in English. That's how good we are.
Yeah, the true people of the soil are not the English, but are the Welsh, the Scottish, the Irish, and us Northerners.
I thought he was going to say us Scousers, because I was saying, Scouts, not English.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good night, Yal. You'll never walk alone, says the North Red. The night North Red.
Night, no.
Another banger, lad, says IBR Stella. Thank you, IBR. Don't forget the football show tomorrow. And don't forget, this is a post-match one for Sunday. And I'll also be having, on Friday, current affairs, where everything gets thrown in. And also Saturday morning, the film and TV review, if you can take me again. And next Monday, the history show with Anthony and myself. Because next week, we're doing the artists, aren't we? I think the Anfield Road and the Red Jew would be made up with that. We're doing a lot of artists next week.
Yeah. We've got a basic theme, but
yeah,
where we'll end up.
It'll be good. It'll be good. Believe you me. Thanks a lot, Anthony.
Welcome, Frank. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, to Jason as well. Thank you so much, Jason, for putting everything up and setting everything up. And this thing here. And I'll talk about this next week. The Illuminati and the what you call them, the blimey. Anyway, I'll be talking about them next week. Thanks, chat. Thank you so much. Without you, there'd be no show. Believe you me, there'd be no show. Hope to see you tomorrow night on the football show. And I meant to say the Freemasons. And that's on the dollar bill. Think about that. The dollar bill.
Yeah.
Thank you, Buzz. Thank you so much. Thank you.